What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Concrete Edge right here on Deco-Crete TV. My name's Jeff, and on today's show, we're going to be taking a look at incorporating custom water features into your stamped concrete projects. So stay tuned, and you're going to learn all about it. So whether this is a brand new project and you're starting with a completely clean slate, or maybe your patio has actually been there for a while and now you just want to up the ante and add some water feature to it, well, both of those things can be a possibility. Now, obviously, the most ideal situation is to start with that clean slate, so we can get everything incorporated into the slab really nice, but it doesn't eliminate the option of adding this down the road if your concrete is already poured. So first off, you're gonna have to come up with a little bit of a plan before we can even get to the rest of it. And the number one question of this is, what are you trying to create? Are you just looking for a bubbler? Are you looking for a big waterfall, maybe a river through a countertop, or even a dry riverbed, on the outside of your slab? Or maybe it's even some kind of water fountain, but all of these things are gonna make a difference on the plumbing, what kind of pump you're gonna need, and obviously what you're gonna do to actually create the feature itself. So once you have a little bit of an idea of the scale of your project, now we can determine how much water is actually going to take, and this is going to make a big difference. We need to know how much water we're actually trying to push and how high we're trying to lift it before we can go out and actually buy a pump, because the last thing we want to do is just go out and buy a bunch of stuff only to realize that our pump is too small. And again, it's always better when it comes to the pump to err on the side of a bigger one, because we can always install a ball valve to control the flow of water, so it's always better to have a pump that might be a little bit bigger than you actually think you're gonna need. So I'm gonna start off here with plumbing, and first of all, you could just hire a plumber for this if you want. And I'll be honest, whenever I've seen projects like this in the past, I've always kind of looked at that plumbing part as in, man, I don't want anything to do with that at all. But I will say, over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, I have been around quite a few of these projects, and it honestly isn't as hard as it looks. I mean, there are some things you need to figure out, but this is all normal stuff that anybody who knows a little bit about plumbing and how to glue PVC together, you can do this yourself if you decide to. The important things are, again, that you're matching up your plumbing, as in the diameter of your water lines. They do need to match the scale of your project. So if this is a little bubbler system or just a little river in a countertop, honestly, the pump, the plumbing, all that stuff can be pretty small, but as it grows, all that stuff needs to grow as well. Now, another option when it comes to the plumbing would be to add a filtration system, but this is obviously going to add some extra steps and some extra cost. And in most cases, honestly, just adding some algicide regularly is going to keep the water clear. Now, my biggest piece of advice when it comes to the pump, the plumbing, and even the part we're going to get into next is to try to find a good local pond supply store, and these places will be able to give you this advice. They're going to have all the supplies you need, and I know there's one around here that's called Pond Supply of Ohio, and they really take care of all our needs. You just call them up, explain the project to them, and they're just really great for helping you get through these projects. Now, onto the reservoir, and kind of like the size of the plumbing lines, the reservoir is going to need to match the size of the feature. Now, and again, this doesn't have to be just a wide open pond, and if that's what you're trying to create, and on large waterfall projects, I mean, that is probably a good idea, but you can accomplish a lot with a pondless system. And this is still going to require digging out a spot for a reservoir. It's still going to require the liner that goes in that reservoir, but instead of that just ended up being a wide open pond in the end, you're basically going to use something called bio blocks, which is these little, honestly, I just call them milk crates because that's what they look like, but they are made for this. And these things, basically you stack these inside your reservoir, and they take up all the extra space, and you just fill the rest in with gravel. Now, for smaller features like bubblers or rivers, or maybe even small waterfalls or fountains, I mean, you could also hide the reservoir either in the slab if it's not poured yet, or sometimes under the cabinets of an outdoor kitchen. Now, when it comes to everything else, the rock features and what this whole thing is going to look like, well, this is our sweet spot, because this can all be done with concrete, especially vertical concrete. And honestly, foam core is a great way of not only making this a lot more feasible, but in some cases, foam core is the only way to create what you're actually looking to look like in the end. And we have a few videos on vertical concrete as well as foam core construction on our channel, so make sure you check those out as well. Now, a few other things that you can add to this just to up the cool factor. The first one would just be lights. And again, you know, those pond supply places, landscape supplies, they've got lights that are made for water features that can be under the water. Obviously, you're gonna have to do some research on this from the wiring end of things, and it's gonna add some stuff to it, but man, some lights just change everything on water features. Now, another thing that we've done in the past is add fire to our water feature as well. This also isn't that complicated. I mean, literally a propane line underneath your water. If you do this right, the propane will actually make it up through the water and it'll literally look like the water is on fire. And in my opinion, this is taking water features to the absolute highest level, because now we have water and fire all in the same piece. And man, how cool is that? So obviously there's gonna be a lot more to this than what we just went over in a 3 or 4 minute video. The whole point of this is to create some inspiration, and hopefully you guys, if you've never thought about adding these, hopefully this just gets you guys thinking, and try this on a small scale and then actually start offering it to your customers. So from all of us here at Deco-Crete TV, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.